So today I actually wanted to do a quick little video. I think I'm going to start doing that now because it makes it just so much easier than trying to go home, get set up, make sure my daughter is, taken care of, and then trying to record. It's a lot to do. Like, if y'all knew how much I do every single day, you would be amazed of how I'm able to manage my time. But instead, I'm going to start doing them kind of like this sometimes, unless I got time to do them at home. But anywho, today, speaking of, I actually want to talk about managing your time. And it makes it so relevant because it's exactly what I'm just talking about. So when you think of the concept of managing your time, I think most of us think that, if I just plan out my day and, kind of have a few action item steps, then that's kind of really effectively planning your day. But for those of you that have a lot, like if you're like myself that is a mom and you work full time and then you're part of different organizations, and if you serve in executive roles such as I do, I'm even in regional roles, and balancing all of that to still stay on top of things and doing everything well without breaking down or getting, overwhelmed and doing stuff. Listen, I know we kind of really didn't care about this stuff when we was in school, but let me tell you, my agenda is the best thing. I color code that mug. I do literally write everything down. I set my appointments in there. I have, if I'm going to be doing business, if I'm going to be traveling, if I'm going to be taking a call during one of my lunches while I'm at work, literally I'm balancing so many different things at once. So the best way, in my opinion, to manage your time is to kind of go back with the old-fashioned way, is to really write things down. And I think that's getting lost. Most of us, we want to use all this technology, and it's cool because they can be good for reminding you via Google, or you have for iPhones Apple and all that kind of different stuff, using your different calendars. However, there's something about writing it down actually allows it to stick. And then that way you're not sitting here trying to fumble through your day and then you're getting lost track of time, because whether you feel keeping your commitments or not is a big deal, it actually is. And if you don't try to manage your time effectively, and let's say you're missing meetings with certain people, or you're running late for some of these because you then forgot, you didn't write it down, or you misplaced it, you put it on one app but didn't put it on the other, and for some reason it didn't send you a reminder. If you don't actively write some of these things down, that's going to affect your brand. And within that, people are going to actually be assessing if they can, if they want to even work with you, because we all got life happening to us. So that's not going to be an excuse, especially for some of these executive roles, or being in the workplace and things like that. They don't care. They do not care about what you got going on in your life. All they care about is, are you making the commitments that you promised them? That's all they care about. So I just wanted to kind of come and encourage you to kind of go with the old-fashioned way. Write it down. That would be my first step, or my first tip, is write it down. And then when you write it down, then create a reminder in your phone, because most of us have our phone glued to our hip or glued to our hands. So then make sure you put a reminder on your phone. And then the third thing that I would suggest is, when you're at home, if you have a whiteboard, if you don't get one, listen, I love mine. I love my whiteboard. Or put it on your refrigerator. You can get one of the small ones you put on the refrigerator, or put it somewhere that you will walk past it every single day, and then put either sticky notes on it if you don't want to just kind of keep writing and erasing, or use different a color coded system on a whiteboard. So those would be my tips to really manage your time effectively and efficiently, because as you grow in your career, that's going to be one of the biggest things, is can you keep your commitments? And that's really what it boils down to. If you're able to see it on paper, you're able to see your agenda, or see your timeline or schedule. In that, you're able to see, okay, when somebody comes up with you with a new thing, hey, can you meet on Saturday at 4 p.m.? And before you just jump to say yes, you might want to actually check your schedule, and then you might not even have that availability. So it allows you to really see how much time, even plan out your lunches. If you're that busy, plan out your lunches, plan out your time with your friends, plan out your time going to church. Literally everything should be put down on this plan so you can actively see what you're doing. And another component about why managing your time is so important is because it should be the obvious, but for some people, they don't really, at least it doesn't seem like they think about it like this. It's like your time is a limited resource, but is the most valuable resource. So when you're working at these jobs and they're paying you, like for some of you, if they're paying you like $15 an hour, right? Or there's even somebody that even if they pay you like, I don't know, what's the high, $80 an hour, you're still allowing a company to tell you how much your time is worth. So if you're going to be put in those situations, and if you're not looking to be an entrepreneur or something like that, you want to get the most optimization out of your time, then I encourage you to write it down and use those pockets of time that you're not at work, because it's fine if you work a full-time job. I do still, on top of having my own business and doing everything, but use it as a tool. So then that way, as you're developing that system, and you'll see like, okay, I have this break here, so I'm gonna take a business call during that time. I have this break here, so I'm gonna spend some time with my family. I have this break here, divide it up. So then that way you can actually see how's your time being assessed. That's the good thing about having a plan that you can see, that's written down, or especially if it's color coded, because you're able to see where is most of your time going. And what you really should be thinking about in that space is that, is it going to somewhere, important? Because one thing, I'm not trying to get like super, like, cause this is, now you're about to see me get all riled up, but like, one thing that bothers me and that hurts my soul is that I see so many great people with so much potential and so much, like, they have these great imaginations and ideas that they're not acting on. And always the excuse is, I don't have the time. But if you see that your time is being spent watching Game of Thrones, or if you see that your time is too busy spending every weekend with your friends who ain't doing nothing or not trying to go out and be productive themselves, if you see that, all these people want you to spend time with them, but yet they're not spending their time wisely, it's like, are you really using your time the best way you could be? No. So be honest with yourself. It's not that you don't have time. It's just that you're not planning for it. You're not planning. So then, of course, it's easy for time to feel like it's always slipping through, and you never seem to be catching up to it because you're too busy doing stuff that actually don't matter. So think about it. When you wake up in the morning, what's one of the first things that you do? Is it check your phone? Are you playing motivational stuff? Are you, blocking out a time to just meditate? Just get your mind right. Just do some prayer, something, so you can start your day off right. And so now you can tackle the day and tackle these different projects. Because if you take it one little small piece at a time, you'll realize that it's not a whole lot of things that you're really doing. Or if it is, it's not as hard as it appears to be, or it feels like when you try to just view it as this big giant picture. So in that space, I would encourage you, that's why it's so important to write it down and take it step by step. Like, okay, I need to knock this down first. I have all my due dates. I can put them in order of priority, and then work your plan that way. Because I said all that talking about the jobs and spending time with your friends and all that kind of stuff. Those things are fine, but there should never be a point where you're spending more. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Ooh, shoot. But there should never be a point where you're spending more of your time working for somebody else than you are on your own dreams. Like, that is baffling to me. And that is why I basically use my job as a means to network. That's really what I use it for most times. I mean, yeah, I learn skills and all that kind of stuff too, but for the most part, it's the network. And then by building and establishing that network, and they have, networks that they can get me plugged into and things like that, and it's a great culture, good family life balance, that's why I decided to keep it. But I also always make it an effort to be working on my business every single day. Every single day. So if you're one of those people that are trying to get out of the system of, working for corporate America, or just working this 9 to 5, and you feel like you don't even enjoy it, and there's no real reason why you should be there, and you want to kind of get into entrepreneurship, being your own boss, planning your time is going to be a big proponent of that. And so then, then you'll start seeing, okay, I'm going to use everything as a tool. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to start meeting with people during lunches, sitting with people that I don't normally talk to or sit with, and kind of pick their brains, or make some friends like on LinkedIn or something like that, have lunches, do things like that. And if you plan out your time that way, in no time, you can be your own boss. So a big proponent of why there's, millionaires and billionaires, and why they're able to have that space than we do. Trust me, I'm working there. just wait on it. But you know, the way to kind of really go about that, as far as, you know, they have the same 24 hours that we do. So there's absolutely no excuse why you can't be living out your dream or doing what it is that you want to, because there is time. Like, are you reading every day? One of the things that I used to tell myself, I didn't mean to make it this long about talking about time management, but one of the things that I told myself, you know, a while back was like, man, I never have time to read. Now everybody's always talking about personal development and working on yourself. And I'm like, how do they have time to read all these books? Like, I'm running here, I'm there, I'm in all these different organizations. But as I'm driving home from work, now what I do, I use Audible. If you don't have it, listen, get Audible. That is a way you can, you know, manage and optimize your time. So you ain't doing nothing but driving. You shouldn't be texting and driving. So hopefully that's probably the only thing you're doing is driving. So why not, instead of listening to the radio, which is not putting nothing positive or helpful into your you know, mentality or your aura, you know, how about you listen to books while you drive? Like, that is one of the keys to my success, let me tell you, is I've been listening to books while I'm driving. And then that's my way to, I can read 5 books, you know, in a month. Easy. Some of them I just replay to the point where I know them. Then it no longer becomes, oh, I'm just, you know, just listening to, I have embedded some information. I've been working on myself while I'm taking a drive home. And I didn't have to sit down, take away from being with my daughter, take away from doing other things, when I was just simply, you know, I was reading a book on the drive. So there's so many ways to optimize your time. And if you want some of my tips in that regard, please let me know. I can tell you how to manage it all. Listen. But, yeah, I just want to kind of have kind of give you some quick tips about how to really manage your time and some, you know, what things that kind of takes away from when you don't. So, as always, I tell you to strive, elevate, empower yourself, and most importantly, increase that knowledge. Thanks, seekers. And until next time, love you guys. Mwah.